Visiting James Bond movie locations and seeing right where the scenes were shot is exciting. And today, in our Smartest Spy in the Room segment, we have Johannes Eklund, who runs JamesBondLocations.com and who has visited many James Bond movie sites. Johannes will be showing us some location pictures here as we talk, so check out our YouTube video on this podcast to see them. So let's get going. Welcome to the show, Johannes.
Thank you very much. Very nice of you to have me.
This is exciting. We love going to James Bond movie locations, and Vicky and Tom and I have been to a number of them, but nothing like you've been. You've been to 40 cities, I think, where you've gone to visit all these locations. So tell us the excitement of visiting these actual filming locations and how you got started in it, because I think there's a lot of listeners out there who would love to go visit actual James Bond filming locations around the world.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know exactly where the excitement came from the beginning, but all I know is that I've always had it. I mean, this has been going on for about 20 years now. And obviously, when I discovered Bond in the mid-90s, around 10 years old. And then at first, I mean, it was primarily the cars, the gambling casinos, drinks, but also the exotic locations. I mean, not to mention the music, which made the locations look better. And I like this gentleman-like character, Urbain, the man who spoke a lot of languages. And that grew the interest for visiting the locations, you know, traveling around the world, staying at the luxurious hotels, dine at the fine restaurants. So obviously, when you're 10, you cannot choose where to go on holiday with the family. So I had to focus on the closest. So I remember in 97, I think was the first, I got my dad to take me down to Amsterdam to see the Skinny Bridge from Diamonds. So actually that is the first Bond location I visited. And Amsterdam is not a very exciting Bond locations because there are only a few.
Yeah, that's right.
You got Tiffany K's house and the Skinny Bridge, and then he leaves basically.
Yes.
So, but that's how it started. And while doing my military service, let me ask you a question
about that. So when you were there with your dad, you saw the Skinny Bridge, and on your website you've got pictures of the Skinny Bridge. You mentioned the address of Tiffany's house. Did you get over and see her house?
No, I mean, there was no information in the late 90s. So obviously I missed Tiffany's house. True. I mean, walking around looking for it.
If they come to your website, they'll actually find the address.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
You have it there.
I've been back to Amsterdam a few times. So now I've covered that too.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Tom and I have been to the Skinny Bridge and to Tiffany Case's house. She wasn't home when we were there, but but that was fun. It was fun.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very beautiful city. So that's the best when you can combine a nice holiday with some locations.
Yes.
That's what I try to do.
Do you travel for work? Do you get to go to some of these for work and then you just take a day or two and go?
Not generally. I have done some traveling with in line of the work. So I managed to squeeze in a few. For instance, I visited Bern in Switzerland. Yes. Just over lunch, but that was enough time to see the Gebruder Gumbold's office and Berengraben. Mm-hmm. So, but no, it's private, private trips. And but then while doing my military service, I met a guy who turned out to be just as interested as I was in both James Bond, but also visiting the locations. Right. And we hadn't been to basically any when we met in 2005. So we started discussing and decided we need to go to Thailand to see the James Bond Island.
Wow.
And just took off from there. So I think it actually got us through the 10 months in the army discussing Bond and where to go when this was over. Actually, he missed the trip to Thailand because he stayed in the army. So I took another friend there. So I got to see James Bond Island.
Right.
But it's ultimately he and I who have done all the trips together, at least most of them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so Johannes, tell us about some of your favourite locations and also any non-Bond locations that you may well have been to as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I think the 5 or 6 top James Bond locations are Corfu in Greece, And then we have For Your Eyes Only, of course, for the listeners. And then we have Karlovy Vary and Prague in the Czech Republic, which was the location for Casino Royale. And then, of course, you have to mention Istanbul in Turkey, which featured in From Russia with Love, The World Is Not Enough, and Skyfall film. And then, I mean, Istanbul is beautiful, but more interesting, I think, from a Bond perspective. Corfu, Karlovy Vary is more beautiful, as is Portugal. Which is also very, very high on the list. You have all the scenes with Tracy, Bond's Hotel, the Palazzo, etc. Lisbon and the surrounding area, Zambujal, Setúbal, and Estoril, Cascais. And then Bahamas is, from a Bond perspective, one of the most interesting, of course. And I would also like to mention Tangier in Morocco, which featured both The Living Daylights and the latest Inspector. So also very interesting. And maybe we should start, if I start with Corfu, which actually was my first real or main James Bond location trip. So this is more than 10 years ago. I've actually been back in, I think, 2014. But the first trip to Corfu was in 2009. I can share the different pictures here. One of the establishing shots over Corfu is the Vlacherna Monastery, where Melina arrives with her boat.
Right.
So Corfu in itself is a very beautiful island in the northwestern part of Greece, just off the coast of Albania. And the Corfu town, which is the city, the main town, is UNESCO protected. So it's very, very beautiful, and it's highly recommended. And I think from a Bond perspective, it's a must visit because you have so many locations and it's very convenient. You can drive around the island in a few hours.
Oh, that's nice.
And here, Corfu was actually, of course, doubling for Spain early in the film, where Bond is looking for Gonzales and his villa. Bond is finding Gonzales, finding him at his luxurious villa. And this is Villa Sylva in Corfu, close to actually the island. This is a private residence. I think you can rent it by the week for 15,000 euros, perhaps. At least you could back then. I don't know how it is today, but we managed to sneak in. 10 years.
You mentioned you snuck in there. You also, on your website, when you talk about Tangier at the L'Américaine, you talked about the fact that was private. So you've gone to some of these private places. You said Zambujal.
Yeah.
Do you do pre-planning to try to get into those, or do you just beg for mercy when you get there?
Yeah, more begging for mercy. Because it's very difficult to plan because you don't know actually how it's going to be, if anyone is going to be there, how it looks. But the interesting thing with Villa Sylva and Gonzales Villa is that we came in the same way as Sir Roger did in the film. So you can actually come through the bushes on the far back. And there is a very, very high wall there where Sir Roger jumps. Yeah. So you can actually we actually came in that way.
Wow.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's over 10 years ago now, so I think I can mention it here.
Yeah.
And of course, Corfu has the car chase outside of the villa. Surrounding area is also Corfu. We have Pagi, which probably is the most famous, at least from a Bond perspective, famous village in Corfu, which is the location of the Low Road. So we rented a Citroën, drove around, and then you have this small cafe, and he's a big Bond fan himself. Spiros running the cafe, so it's very nice stop to have a Greek salad there.
Nice,
enjoying this location.
Yeah, that's the kind of incidental intelligence that's great to know when you're there to go to a spot that you've been to that people will enjoy. That's great.
Yeah,
thanks.
How did you find where the filming locations were there?
I think the major, basically anything from 10 years ago, I owe to Martin Mulder, who runs on the tracks of 007.
Right,
yes.
That's a great book.
Yeah, I mean, that's the greatest book.
Yeah, Martin does great work, and we have a couple of copies of his book as well. It's great stuff.
Yeah, I think that came out in around 2007 or 8. So that made it possible for us to go to Corfu and actually finding all these locations. That was way before I started researching myself. Okay. So yes, a lot is owed to him.
Yes.
So it's all in there.
So you do some research yourself as well, and so you found additional locations on your own somehow.
Yeah,
right?
and yes, definitely. And we also found a few additional on this trip. He not every single detail is in his book, so there are a few locations that you can discover yourself. For instance, in Corfu, you have the steps that Sir Roger runs up when chasing Locke. We found those by accident, very close to the Albanian warehouse. We didn't know they were there, but so we found them when we walked around. And nice. So those weren't in his book.
Yeah, that's fun stuff.
But Pagi is a nice little village. Of course, it's in his book. And you have the Citroën driving in and out from different roads. Mm-hmm. You have the old church in Pagi, or clock tower, and then you have the curve where Sir Roger arrives with his Lotus.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool.
And the roads that lead, these roads actually lead to Pagi, but they are, that drive around those roads with the right music is one of the best Bond experiences, I think.
Yeah. So when
the roads are amazing.
So when you're looking for these places, sometimes it's hard to find the spot, even if you have good info and intelligence ahead of time. I know Tom and I spent 2 hours looking for where the motorcycle chase began on Sardinia, in The Spy Who Loved Me. But we found the exact spot. Yeah. How about you, Johannes? How long has it taken you to find a spot sometimes?
Obviously, sometimes you need to walk around for a very long time. But if you know it's there, you don't give up.
Yeah, exactly.
At least not easily.
Yeah, Tom knows we don't give up. I want to be on the exact spot.
Yeah.
Not near it.
I've come around on that, by the way, Dan. I used to be within a meter or two. I was fine.
But that's cool. So yeah, sometimes it takes time, but it's worth it because it's exciting to be right where they filmed this stuff. It's great stuff.
Yeah. Now, when you were in Corfu, how much time did you have while you were there to be able to go see the sites?
We had a week.
Okay.
So
that's
good. It was July 2009, so it was basically a vacation week.
Okay.
Yeah, highly recommended, but definitely enough.
Okay.
You want to get some sun too.
Yeah. You want to.
Dan and I did one trip where we went to Lisbon, Sardinia, Amsterdam, and London.
In 12 days.
In 12 days. Just looking
eight
at
flights.
sites. So
8 flights.
So I like the week-long way to do it. You get to enjoy the area a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you came across the pond for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Tell us more. Tell us. So you've been to hundreds of Bond filming locations.
Getting back to the roads, it's actually quite feasible for a car to end up in a tree because the roads are actually very, very steep. So, obviously it was put in for a joke, but when you drive around there, you actually see how it's possible. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have the Havelock yacht.
Yes.
Triana is anchored at the Calami Bay.
Great scene.
It's on the northeastern coast with the seaplane. It says Kerkira Charter Service on the plane. Kerkira is Corfu in Greek. Okay. So nice detail on the plane. And the Calami Bay, we didn't go diving in that cove, but it's very nice view from the roads. And then the Achilleon Palace, which actually was the casino. I think at least when they filmed in 81, this is a large palace quite close to Corfu town. It's now a museum. So sadly, it's not a casino anymore. Yeah. But I haven't found much information about the time when it was a casino and when that was finished. I think it's in the mid-90s. But the Achilleon Palace is very beautiful.
Yes.
Nice museum. And then in the back, you have the place where Bond and Christatos are dining.
Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. Right. Yeah, that's a great scene. That's a great scene.
Yep.
Yes. Very nice. And actually in the garden, you have the viewpoint where Bond and Melina are walking up after Corfu town. Corfu town is actually the village you see in the far back.
Okay.
So they are walking through Corfu town, and then they end up here, which is on on the other side of the island. So when you know it, it's it's a bit funny, but
we call that movie magic.
Yes.
Movie magic. There they
And it's I mean, you understand why Sir Havelock loved the view from there.
Yeah.
So it's a very beautiful location. And you also have the beach where Liesel gets killed, and the old fortress, which is nearby Corfu town, doubled for the Albanian warehouse. So when they are traveling to Albania, they actually come back to Corfu town. And that is the warehouse, and the house above is visible also in the film. And right behind that large White House is you find the steps where Sir Roger runs up.
Okay.
And sadly, the old fortress is sealed off for tourists. I think it's in very bad state, so we had to sneak in there, jumping a fence or two to get to. But it was worth it to get to this location.
Not that we're recommending that.
I mean, you don't go to Corfu without seeing the Locke cliff.
Yes.
Where he shoots at Locke's Mercedes.
Yes.
And then Locke ends up on the cliff.
Yes, yeah.
And this is actually behind the arch. So it's not possible for Mercedes to end up there when it comes from the other direction. But
Yeah.
I like that you have to do these little espionage things yourself, sneaking into places and.
Yeah.
I think it adds to the excitement of visiting a location.
It
and
does.
being there alone is, it's worth a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tom and I, when we were in Portugal, we went to, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, the mansion where the wedding reception was. And that's all private property, and it's private property for the entranceway. It's all private property for 20, 30 minutes before you even get to the house. I don't know if you've
the
been
entrance the entrance you probably went to, you crossed a body of water, like a river, to get to them.
Yeah.
That bridge is out. So we had to go along the rock. Yeah. We were on the property for 25 minutes.
So we were trespassing for quite a while.
You couldn't drive across that bridge. The bridge was out when we arrived there too. But you could actually drive around. You could drive.
Yes.
So coming from the south.
Yes, yes, exactly, right. Yeah, but they were kind enough to let us in and walk around and go around the back and see the fountain that was actually in the movie. It's moved around the back of the house now. But it was fun. So sometimes you gotta ask in nice ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Or just jump a fence.
Yeah, the benefit in Corfu is that there is no one to ask.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just a fence.
Johannes, can I just ask, have you ever had anybody actually stop you from looking at any locations? Has anybody actually said, sorry, no, you can't come in? Or has it all been quite amicable and
good question.
You've managed to get away with it?
I'm sure there must have been a few times. I mean, when we were in Hong Kong, we went to the Dragon Garden and the high fat residence from Golden Gun. And that's a private residence. And there is someone guarding it. So we rang the doorbell and was actually let in to the garden.
Wow.
But only for a short while. And we weren't allowed to go up to the mausoleum. Mm-hmm. So we only saw the dragon and the main house.
Yes. Wow.
But we didn't get up to the mausoleum and the coolest Scaramanga locations there.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. But so that's one. I mean, and then Hong Kong, China, you don't take any risks there.
Yeah. There you go.
So it's better to ask nicely. But in Greece, it's a bit easier to get in. And another benefit with Corfu is obviously that it's very close to the Greek mainland. And you take a ferry over to the mainland, and about 2-hour drive straight into Greece, you find Kalambaka, which is the city or the village where the Meteora cliffs are located.
Yes.
And that is one of the most beautiful Bond locations I've been to. Most beautiful location ever in the world. Have you been there too?
No.
I've seen the pictures.
Love to be there.
It's on our list.
Yep, we love to get there.
I mean, the pictures will not do it justice. You have a lot of these massive rocks with monasteries on top. So it's breathtaking.
Is there more than one with a monastery?
Yeah, I think there are around 20 monasteries.
Oh my gosh!
All located on not on exactly the same kind of rock, but more or less.
Yes.
And you have a few monasteries that are even more spectacular than St. Cyril's.
I know when they were filming it, there were rumors that the monks up there were hanging clothes and stuff just to screw up the filming because they didn't want the actual filming to be done.
I think it also was that they weren't paid. I mean, the
Oh.
money that I think they were supposed to have been paid, but the money didn't reach them. Probably ended up someplace else. So I think that's one of the reasons why they sabotaged the filming.
Okay. It always comes down to money.
But the Greek mainland is definitely one of the most beautiful locations. It's a must visit. I've been there. I have actually family in that area.
Oh, nice.
Relatives. So and I also believe now it's more nuns than monks, I've heard.
Okay.
Because the monks are moving to Mount Athos, which is a monastery state in the northeastern part. So a lot to see in Corfu. It's very convenient location. Very easy to go there for a week and get it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
And you would fly into where?
Corfu has its own airport.
Oh, okay. All right. So you can go
So
around.
you have charter flights, at least from Sweden. You have charter flights.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Cool.
probably all over Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You can combine it with the trip to Athens, but then it's a very long train ride from Athens up to the northern part.
Okay. All right.
But you can go by train from Athens to Meteora to see the cliffs, the rocks.
Okay.
Wow.
So some trivia about Corfu we found at the square in Corfu town. It's interesting to know that they make the Teotoki wine in Corfu. So it is a Greek wine from Corfu.
Mm-hmm.
So that is obviously why Bond prefers that wine to the white Robola wine from Kefalonia.
Nice.
And we found a restaurant in Corfu town that not only served the Teotoki wine, but also made the bordetto, the famous Corfu dish.
Yes.
It's a fish dish with tomato sauce.
So you had to have that, right?
That sounds good.
So eating bordetto, drinking Teotoki wine that was an amazing experience in Corfu.
Yeah. How bad is that? Good stuff.
Yep.
All right. Tell us
So,
a little bit more about what your next favorite.
The next trip was actually only one year later, and that was a trip to Czech Republic, Prague and Karlovy Vary. And that journey should start, I think, in Prague. It's easy. Prague and the Czech Republic is interesting,
Yes.
primarily from a Casino Royale perspective. Mm-hmm. Prague in itself is a very beautiful town. So it should be visited anyway, but you can squeeze in some locations as well. Prague has the Danube House, which of course was Dryden's office in the pre-title of Casino Royale.
Yeah.
The only scene I think that is actually supposed to be in Prague. And then we have the parliament, the committee room is actually also in Prague, not London. Mm-hmm. So this is a library from a monastery in Prague.
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
It's open to the public.
That's gorgeous.
It is.
Yeah, Prague's a beautiful city, and of course you have the Mission Impossible too. That's stuff Charles Bridge.
The first one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you have probably a lot of films there, but
Yes.
Mission Impossible, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, that
Maybe
was
I
one of the
should
first
rewatch it.
movies that actually filmed there was Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we have the Miami Body Worlds. That is also the Ministry of Transportation in Prague.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
basically all the Miami scenes were filmed in Prague.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice, yeah.
And actually also the lobby of Bond's Hotel in Venice,
Oh yes.
where he realizes that the money is gone. That is the lobby of the National Museum in Prague.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Wow.
And
I love how they just do that. It's like, okay, we're going to take this place and call it something else.
yeah.
The scouting group that does all that for scenes and stuff, that's got to be a fun job. It's like, oh yeah, we found a great spot for this.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think they do it. They have been doing a great job too. I mean, they always manage to find the most beautiful
Yes.
locations.
Yeah. And secure cooperation.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I think they did a better job in the past. I mean, they found more exotic locations. Now it's a bit more focused on subsidies where they can get refunds and where it's easy to film.
Yeah, I think the exotic locations too. When they started, they were places that the normal average person in the world was not going to get to, because travel wasn't that popular then, or it was too expensive, and so on. And so they focused on a lot of that. Now it's like you're saying, they move into a little different direction, because I think people can get to these places, but getting to the Bond filming locations is fun. I mean, this is a great thing. We've been to about 100, I think, locations, maybe Tom and I, and Vicky's been to a bunch too in England and so on, right? Yeah. So it's fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's important to remember. I mean, these were primarily jet set locations.
Yes.
I mean, Corfu, Cortina, Swiss Alps.
Yes.
Jamaica, Bahamas. I mean, like you said, it was not an average destination, but obviously it's very difficult to find that now, because many people can go almost anywhere.
Yes. Right.
So that's a shame. But you can find some exotic locations in the Czech Republic. Just a 2-hour drive from Prague, you get to Loket. Loket is a very small medieval town. It looks like this. This was Montenegro in the film. Yes. But this is actually Czech Republic, very close to the German border in the west part. So it's a 2-hour drive from Prague. And you have this amazing medieval castle up on the hill, and the town is surrounded by a river. So it only has a bridge and a very small road that you can access the village. So highly recommended, of course, if you're in the Czech Republic. We actually stayed in this hotel, Hotel Goethe, which is seen behind Bond and Vesper and Mathis in the film.
Oh, yeah.
Sadly, there are no, at least in 2010, there were no cafes on the city square or the town square. It's just parking lot. So that was built for the film. Sadly.
Yeah, you mentioned that on the website too.
Right.
Yes. So that's a pity. If I would have been the mayor of Loket, I would have made those cafes, put up those cafes immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they get enough tourism to support something like that?
Maybe they could promote it a little.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Driving down those roads towards Loket, and when you see it through the trees, was an amazing experience. It's very, very beautiful. And only a 15-minute drive away, you get to Karlovy Vary, which is the main location for Casino Royale. This was Montenegro in the film, but this is an old spa town, and this was the Montenegro train station. This house isn't in use. It's not a train station at all, but it's very beautiful. And you also have the deleted scene that was filmed there when Bond and Vesper exit the train and walk through the station.
Wow. Yeah.
Towards the limousine. So that was filmed on location.
When you talk about that train on your website, you talk about the route that doesn't actually exist, that you can't take the train to Montenegro. I can't remember what the routing of it was, but you said that you couldn't do the route.
Yeah, I mean, Montenegro. Yeah, I mean, the train curve, I actually found the train curve. Right, where the train, where the train comes through the night. It's in the eastern part of the Czech Republic, I think. The train is very obvious from the film, a Czech train. So it's the Pendolino fast train going between Prague and Ostrava and some other cities. But I think it starts in Prague. So if you travel on the Pendolino east, you will eventually get to the curve from the film by the river. But Montenegro is so small, so I mean, you couldn't take a night train to Montenegro, because I don't think you can even travel on the train for more than an hour or two when you actually get to Montenegro. But we have to assume that Bond starts in Switzerland or maybe France, Germany, somewhere, wherever Arlington Beach would start his journey. Maybe London. So that makes more sense.
Okay.
And but in Karlovy Vary, you have both the Hotel Splendid, which is Grand Hotel Pup, very nice hotel. We stayed there a few nights.
Nice.
And magnificent hotel, obviously. They have different entrances. This is the main building. Bond is actually staying in the cheaper wing, I think. But it looks better because that overlooks the parking lot. If you decide to visit Karlovy Vary, it's highly recommended to stay a few nights at the Grand Hotel Pup or Hotel Splendid. as the name was in the film. The lobby was, at least in 2010, the lobby was very recognizable from the film. They had redecorated a little, some of the colors, but the elevators are the same, even the buttons in the elevator. So that's very nice. And of course, you can dine in the restaurant.
Yeah.
We had dinner there at their table one of the evenings. Very nice experience, of course. I don't know how it looks now, but this was 10 years ago. And I think the most interesting thing about the Grand Hotel Puck is that it's actually located where it's supposed to be located in the film. So you see the hotel from the casino building.
Okay.
So you can actually walk the short walk from the hotel to the casino. This was a former spa, I believe. Now it's closed. It's open sometimes to the public, but it wasn't open when we were there. So that's one location we missed, the interior of the casino building. But the building in itself is very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They actually used the same logotype in the film, actually only replaced Louis XIV for Casino Royale. And we have the Aston Martin parking lot. Bond finds his Aston. You see the casino building in the background. So that's how close it is. You see that there are quite a few tourists that have a lot of money in Karlovy Vary. It's a bit of an upscale tourist destination. Okay. So you actually see quite a lot of nice cars there. People would find Istanbul more interesting.
Yeah, let's look at Istanbul. And then you mentioned Tangier, right?
Yeah, Tangier. I also have a few pictures from the Bahamas, if that would be interesting.
Sure.
Istanbul is one of the most interesting Bond locations from a Bond historic perspective. You have From Russia with Love.
Yes.
Filmed there in 1963. I can't imagine how they managed to film in Turkey in the 1960s.
Yes.
Same with Japan. It must have been very difficult, but they managed to do it. And of course, Istanbul is a very beautiful city. It's a must-see for any Bond fan.
Yes.
Not only Bond location fan, but you need to go to Istanbul regardless, I think. And what's nice about it is that it has been fairly untouched in many of these old locations. Many other locations from the 60s, for instance, in Tokyo, have disappeared, obviously. But in Istanbul, you can still find this little gem. So this is where Grant is stalking Tanya when she's...
Yes.
I don't remember the name of this. It's accessible for the public. And then you have the road where Tanya is walking towards Kleb. This is way off. The Grant location is actually close to the Grand Bazaar. This is a taxi ride away. So this is a bit outside Istanbul, but you can still find the walk and the mosque in the background where she's walking up. And then Bond arrives in the Rolls Royce, and these buildings are also very recognizable. The streets have changed, but the buildings have not. Mm-hmm. And you have the blue mosque in the background. Things have changed, but they wouldn't demolish a mosque. So you can count on Istanbul staying basically the same. But one of the most interesting locations in Istanbul, I think, is the Russian consulate. And I also have Martin Mulder to thank for finding that. I think he was the first. They believed this was located close to the Grand Bazaar. And there is a mosque in the background, but they couldn't find it. And ultimately, a taxi driver knew the location. It's across the Bosporus, a fairly long drive away. So it's on a completely other side of the town.
So now, are you going to believe that taxi driver? Yeah, I can take you there. It's going to take us quite a while.
The fare might be large. So this is what it looks like now?
Yes, this is the entrance gate. But the house is briefly seen in the film, the consulate, and that house still stands. So that's a very, very nice location. I think someone let us into the garden here. We didn't have to sneak in. I don't know if I would dare do that in Turkey.
Right.
I think we rang the doorbell and someone let us into the garden. I don't think any scenes were filmed inside. That was all done in the studios, of course. And then the Basilica Cistern.
Yes.
This is very interesting location, but it's very difficult to take in when you're there because it's so massive. magnificent building, magnificent location, but the pictures will not do it justice, of course. I understand that this was sealed off completely and was opened up for tourists into, I think, the late 60s or even later. Oh. So this was actually closed for the public when they filmed.
Oh, wow.
In 63, I
didn't know that.
I didn't either.
But now it's obviously a major tourist destination. You will not be there alone. They have put out these, they have constructed some kind of walk through. There was a lot of water in it in the early 60s, and that's almost all water is gone. There is some water, but yeah.
Now, is that a seasonal? Do you know if that's a seasonal thing? It just happened to be low when you were there, or is it always low now?
I don't think so. I think it must have been sealed off.
Okay.
It was built as a water reservoir, and so I don't think they need it now.
Okay.
I wouldn't drink that water anyway.
No, it doesn't look that good.
But
Had a lot
the
of
pictures,
rats in it.
yeah, that too. But the pictures will not do it justice. But it's an you will end up there sooner or later if you go to Istanbul. You can't miss it. And then the Orient Express station, where Commissar Benz is watching the train. I think this was actually one of Martin Mulder's top 10 most beautiful Bond locations. The Orient Express station. It's a nice location, but I would have preferred to jump on the Orient Express there.
Yeah.
Just go there to visit. It's very nice. This station doubled as all the other stations throughout the Balkans. Mm-hmm. So all the Yugoslavian stations were filmed from different angles here.
Well, have you been able to have you been able to ride the Orient Express?
No, not yet. I think it's. I'm counting on it in 5 years.
Okay.
5 years time.
My wife and I did many years ago. It was really nice.
Oh, really? From Istanbul to Paris?
No, we were in Venice.
Venice to Paris.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe. I assume it was worth it.
It was. It was just so different than anything because I don't do a lot of train travel. So it was really, in the U.S. we don't do a lot on the train.
Yeah,
so
our trains are terrible.
Nice to do that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's a must do the long journey from Istanbul to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
It takes 6 days, I think. I believe it's only possible to do it once a year, at least in recent years. And I think it's gone up the price. I think you have to pay around 9,000 euros per person.
Wow.
And you need to be 2, obviously, and you should really be 4. So you can open the interconnecting doors between.
Yeah.
And you would have a nice journey.
Yeah.
But in wait for the train ride, you can visit the station. And then, of course, Istanbul has a lot of other interesting locations from the World Not Enough. You have Maiden's Tower in the middle of the Bosporus, a major tourist destination, of course. It's actually quite small, so it's difficult to believe how a submarine could hide in there. But that's movie magic. And it's a very nice location too. And you can also go up the river, I think about half an hour in the taxi to get to Elektra's Baku residence.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Supposedly located in Baku, Azerbaijan, but actually in Istanbul. Then I think it was a bit uninspiring when they went to Istanbul in Skyfall. This is one of the kiosks in Istanbul. Bond and Kerim Bey is hiding behind one of these when assassinating Krylenko.
Yes.
This looks very similar to the one in the film, but this is not the one. We actually didn't find the right one when we were there. So I need to go back to Istanbul for that because I know where it is now.
Oh, down.
Okay. We'll go with it.
It's a lovely mouth, that Anita. But I only included this picture where Craig comes out in Skyfall after finding Ronson shot pursuing Patrice. I think Istanbul was not an inspired choice of location in Skyfall. It's a beautiful city, but it had already been done, and the top of the Grand Bazaar had been used previously in the International, the Clive Owen film. I think exactly the same spots as in Skyfall. And then I don't think I've seen it actually. The second Taken movie with Liam Neeson was also filmed in Istanbul. So boring, but there you go.
Johannes, can I just ask, is there anywhere that you feel that they should film that you would like them to, that they haven't included? I'm a big fan of Barcelona. I think it's got some stunning buildings and all the Gaudi stuff. So I'd like them to film there if they can at some point. But is there anywhere that you feel that, yes, that would be brilliant in a Bond film?
Well, obviously, I would like them to come to Sweden. Stockholm is a very beautiful city. Yeah. A lot to do here. Of course, Craig has already been here in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but it would be nice to get Bond here. We have a lot of nature. They have favored Norway now in No Time to Die. And also 2 Mission Impossible movies have favored Norway. They have very big tax refunds, I believe, for filming there. We don't have that in Sweden, not yet anyway. But I think, 2 main continents that are underused. I mean, I would like to see more of Africa, and I think also South America. Bond has been to Rio, Bolivia, and Caribbean, but I think the South America has a lot to offer. Both the nature and the cities. I haven't been there myself, and of course Rio is very high up on the list when the COVID pandemic is over. But Africa, maybe South Africa again.
What I like about what you're talking about there is, if we mentioned earlier, in the early Bond movies, there were exotic locations. Europe has opened up so much for tourism. Some of these other places, at least from the U.S., you don't see as much travel to. So those are still more exotic places to at least the U.S. audience. I don't know about the European audience, but that would be awesome to see.
Yeah. I think from a European perspective, South America will always be exotic because it's so far away. Bond hasn't been to Australia or New Zealand. No. That's one opportunity. But then I love Asia myself. I have been to Hong Kong several times. I've studied there. Wow. I worked in Shanghai for a short while. So I love Asia, and I think there are a lot of places left for him to go. I also think he should go back to Hong Kong. I don't think they took the benefit of Hong Kong, even though it's featured in 3 films. I think they missed some of the magnificence of Hong Kong. Okay. It's only a short scene in You Only Live Twice, and then Golden Gun missed it completely. I mean, you don't get the feeling of Hong Kong. Obviously, Jamaica is one of the holy grails of locations. So you have the Live and Let Die locations, and then of course Dr. No, and now soon you will have No Time to Die as well. So you can cover 3 films. Yeah.
Yeah, soon.
So Jamaica is one of is a holy grail.
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned Jamaica there, then you also mentioned Bahamas was one of your favorite places.
Yeah, that is also one of the, I think maybe there are 5 or 6 holy grails. Jamaica, obviously one, the Bahamas, Japan. I also think if you go to India, that would be a similar experience as the Bahamas.
Now, have you gotten up to Peace Gloria, Shilthorne?
No, I still have that left. I want to celebrate Christmas there.
Yeah.
Put that on your list.
Yeah, we've been there. Tom and I have been there. It's spectacular. It's quite a place.
I can imagine. Did you ski down?
No.
We were there in the summer.
Okay.
We were there it was like September, October. They were just closing actually all the ski stuff, I think, or whenever it was.
We were there the week before they were going to close down for a short period of time before
before the ski season started, I think. Yeah. But it was fun. That was a great place.
Yeah, it's high up on my list. Definitely.
Any Bond fan should have that high on their list.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
But I would like to go there over Christmas so you can ski down.
Yeah.
And maybe actually celebrating Christmas up there.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Or in the vicinity. That would be very nice.
Yeah.
Johannes, I haven't been to many exotic locations on Bond. I've been to Venice twice. I've been to Lake Garda, where they filmed the chase at Quantum of Solace, both through the tunnel and along the lake. I saw it from both perspectives, so that was amazing.
I can imagine.
And of course, I've been to London a lot to see a lot of locations, so I haven't been as widely travelled as yourself. But this is most inspiring, I must admit.
Makes you want to get on that next plane, doesn't it?
It is. It's just so fun to do this. So, Johannes, tell us a few of the other places. You don't have to show us the pictures, but just tell us a few of your other favorite spots you've been to and why you like those spots from other movies. And you could just go all over the map on this, literally.
Oh, from other movies?
Yes.
Oh, I would have to think. I mean, Bahamas is nice, both from a Bond perspective, of course, but I saw when it came out in, I think, 2005, After the Sunset with Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, yeah.
It's also shot in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a much better job promoting Bahamas in that film than they did in both Casino Royale and Never Say Never Again. I mean, Never Say Never Again completely missed the target when filming in the Bahamas. You don't even want to go there. It looks so gray and boring.
Well,
Casino Royale was nice.
You have a great thing on your website about your feelings of Maximilian Largo.
Yes.
Movie. You have a little video you put together. We'll put a link here on the page for the viewer that kind of describes your feelings. And I wasn't sure if it was your feelings for the actor or the character with the way you did that.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare it to Adolfo Chili's Largo,
yes,
I think Klaus Maria is a catastrophe. I know many people like him. I think I have more negative comments than positive on my video on YouTube when I posted that. I posted it with some of his most stupid scenes.
Yes. It's a funny video. It really is.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yes.
I think I believe that he was a close friend of Connery, and that's why he was cast.
Okay.
I think he's completely wrong for the role of Largo. But that's also because I love Adolfo Chili and
Adolfo Chili was great.
Yeah, so Largo and Fiona Volpe, I think, are the two of the greatest villain couples.
Yes.
Together with Blofeld, Irma Bunt. I actually like Carver.
Yeah.
You can say what you want about Stamper, but Carver Stamper is nice. And then, of course, we have Kamal Khan and Gobinda.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Gobinda is a real underrated henchman. I think he's great. I really think he's really, for me, that is one of the best things about that particular film is him and his role. Him not saying anything. He's, deadly. He's a great character.
Yeah, there's some great ones. Dario and License to Kill. I mean,
yes.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. And I loved Robert Davi in that movie too. He was terrific. Davi was such a believable villain.
Yeah.
He had that charm but evilness. It's like, oh man, that's good stuff. Tell us about some of the other Bond locations you've been to that you think our listeners should know about and maybe put on their agenda to head to.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, Bahamas is a must for any Bond fan. Very nice holiday there.
Yes.
And one of the greatest locations you can actually find underwater because you have the Vulcan location. So you can go diving, you can dive around the Vulcan.
Yes.
We found one of the wheels, I think, in the sand, still left there. And you can find the rock that Sir Roger wraps the rope around in For Your Eyes Only. Obviously, all the underwater scenes in I think, the first 20 films have been filmed in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Also the Sardinia underwater scenes. So the Bahamas is a must. Tangier is actually a very nice location. Surprisingly nice. It's a very international feel. Tangier was a special trading zone in Morocco. So they have less strict rules. You can find alcohol there. They have a casino, a lot of smuggling going on. So it's a very rough city, but that's what makes it so nice. And of course, you have a lot of the old the Living Daylights locations still untouched, basically since '87. You have the rooftops, you have the Casbah where the trade convention was filmed, and Brad Whitaker's villa, Villa Mendoub, It actually belongs to the king now, so it's a state owned by the state or the government, used for foreign dignitaries. So it's the pool area is not accessible for the public, and we asked, but they have armed guards, so you will never get into that pool, sadly.
An armed guard in Tangier, yeah, I'd respect that.
Yeah, me too.
But the villa is very nice, and it's located right by the Atlantic Ocean, along a road with many other luxury villas, quite close to the royal palace.
Very nice.
So Tangiers and Morocco is a magnificent location. And you can go up to Casablanca, of course. Casablanca wasn't filmed there, I believe, in the 40s, but it would be nice to see Casablanca anyway.
Yes. Right.
And the Marrakesh, if you like Sex and the City, I think they filmed the Dubai scenes in Morocco too.
Okay, cool.
In Marrakesh.
Now, did you get across the strait to see Gibraltar?
Oh yes, good that you mentioned. I forgot. Gibraltar is a very nice, very convenient location. You can spend a day or two there and get it all from the exercise at Gibraltar. It's very cheap. They don't have any or very low taxes, so very cheap alcohol, gambling. You can buy cheap cigars. So Gibraltar is
sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah. It's very popular, I believe, for stag parties.
Yeah,
I bet.
And from a Bond perspective, it's very interesting. And of course, it's British still, and they make you aware of it. It's more British than London, I believe. A lot of flags everywhere. And the monkeys are still at the Rock. So that's a very nice location. And I think an honorable mention should be Cadiz along the Atlantic coast. 2-3 hour drive from Gibraltar north on the Spanish coast, very close to Portugal, which doubled for Havana, of course, in Die Another Day. Cadiz is actually one of the oldest cities in Europe and very, very beautiful. You can definitely spend a few days there. Magnificent food.
Now, the bar that they had in that scene where Jinx comes out of the water, a la Honey Rider, that was all just a put-up, I think. It's not really a bar there, right?
No, it's some kind of
just a beach or
maritime authority who resides in that building. So sadly, nothing on the beach there.
Yeah. So we can't get a drink there.
But at least you can walk. You can walk out to Los Órganos. It's not an island as in the movie.
Oh, okay.
So that was CGI. So you can walk out there.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. All right.
So now you've done these with all these different James Bond locations. On your website, you've got a few non-Bond movies. So there's a movie that we're working on right now, $1 Billion Brain, and that we're working on a podcast on.
Yeah.
And so you were in Helsinki, and you've got some pictures from there. I was there 2 years ago. But I didn't know. I actually wasn't into the Harry Palmer stuff, so I was on a cruise. So I was trying to stream the movie on a cruise ship. It didn't work too well before we got into Helsinki. So I knew Stockman was there. I got that shot. But
yes,
others,
Stockman.
I love the pictures you got in there about just that. We were there in the summer, so it looked different than the winter.
I can imagine. Helsinki it's very nice city. It's a bit like Stockholm, but smaller. Very friendly. Very nice food too. But I think it's more right to be there in the winter. It's probably much nicer in the summer, but it's more right.
Yeah. The cruise ship went when the cruise ship went. So
of course, Finland has been used, doubling for Russia. I think we have the Fourth Protocol with Michael Caine and Pierce Brosnan. Ian Richardson from, I think it's 84 or 86 maybe. I think the Soviet scenes were filmed in Finland too.
Okay.
But it's a nice movie. Yeah. So $1 Million Brain or $1 Billion Brain.
Yeah, the $1 Billion Brain, yeah.
Finland, and then some scenes were filmed in Estonia.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
It's across the border.
So now, but you've got on your site Noble House and Night Watch. You've got the Harry Palmer $1 Billion Brain. Any other, or the Persuaders? I think you've got up there too.
Yeah, I added a few Persuaders locations from the Riviera. I mean, the French Riviera, Monaco, Nice, Cannes are a longtime favorite of mine. Monaco, I think, is the Casino de Monte Carlo is one of the most beautiful Bond locations.
Yes.
Together with Greece, and so it's a favorite of mine. Yeah, Noble House, set in Hong Kong, and a few scenes in Macau. Very nice miniseries with Brosnan from '88. And
now it looks to me like all of the movies that you've got on your site, even though they're not James Bond, they've got, if they're not James Bond, they've got one of the James Bond actors in it, correct? I see.
Yeah.
Either Brosnan or Moore, I think, is what I've seen.
Yeah, the exception is Harry Palmer, but he's as close to James Bond as you can get.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Michael Caine did a great job. He was terrific with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was Guy Hamilton directing, Harry Saltzman producing.
Ken Adams.
It had Michael Caine. It also had Count Lippe as
the
chief.
Yeah.
So
playing Ross.
Yeah, Guy Dolman. Yeah.
Guy Dolman. That's it.
Yeah. It was and Ken Adam, I think, was he had
set design.
Oh yes, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so yeah.
That's true. So, and then of course maybe I should mention Russia House with Sean Connery.
Oh yeah.
1990. Right. That was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's one of the first films that was shot on location in Russia. I think it was filmed just before the fall of the Soviet Union, so probably in 1990.
Okay.
And there are scenes filmed on location in St. Petersburg. I haven't seen it in a while, maybe Moscow, but at least St. Petersburg.
Yeah, so St. Petersburg, I've been to some of those sites.
So the Russia House is a very, very interesting movie from that perspective. And the Lisbon locations in the Russia House is very nice.
Yeah, Lisbon's a beautiful city. That was fun. Yeah, we had a good time there.
Where I would like to see Bond go, I think we touched, I think it would be nice of him if he could go back to Russia. I mean, most of the St. Petersburg scenes were filmed in London in GoldenEye, so it's not very fun.
Yeah, right.
And maybe South Africa, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
He didn't go there in '71, but maybe it's time to go back.
They film a lot of scenes in London throughout the films. Have you been to most of the locations there?
In London, I have. I've been to London quite a few times. Actually, me and my friend had planned to go around outside of London to get all the outskirts locations. Shrublands ×2, the King Funeral.
We've been to Shrublands,
Yeah. Ems Gate from Her Majesty's Secret Service, etc. So we had actually planned to do that in connection with the premiere last April. And for obvious reasons, that trip got cancelled. So I hope we can go to London for the premiere when that happens. Maybe this October. September, October.
In the UK.
That would be fun.
If we're lucky.
I'm going to go nuts if they release that a week earlier in the UK and I hear how it ends. Before it gets to the US. But
you have to fly over to the UK.
Yeah, there you go.
If you do decide you want to do the outskirts, we went through a company called Brit Movie Tours. They've got a really good Bond outskirts of London tour.
Yeah, we did the Shrublands and all that.
And
it was fun.
They take you in the black cab and you go around and they make it really easy.
Yeah.
You're not sitting there having to go, now, how do we get here?
Yeah.
But you don't want it to be too easy, I think.
Well, that's true.
You want to drive around. But then we had planned actually to stay a few nights at Luton Hoo, the Shrublands from Never Say Never Again. You can stay there.
Okay. Yeah.
So it will be nice. Do some exercise there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Right.
Yeah, one of my favourite London locations is the Tobacco Docks from The World's Not Enough. Mm-hmm. I love the pre-title sequence of that film and saw most of that. Yeah, it's a good one with the canal and the traffic wardens on that corner.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourite ones.
Oh, really? I haven't been. I saw the Millennium Dome in 2004 when I was there, but I haven't done the entire tour. So I have a lot left to see.
Yeah.
That area, and also I think Craig's garage from Skyfall, where he keeps the Aston.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, you have a lot to see, but you've seen a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we appreciate you spending the time with us like this, and this has been a fun worldwide tour with you. We really have enjoyed it. And
I enjoy your website. I mean, the pictures you've got up there. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. So check it out, JamesBondLocations.com. we've got to have you back, and we'll have another discussion another day where we could talk about Japan and a few other spots.
We'll talk another day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It was fun.
Yeah.
Very fun to talk about it. I haven't done it in the past, actually.
Yeah. This has been spectacular. Thanks, Johannes. We appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon. All right, thanks. That's a wrap. This has been Dan Silvestri.
Tom Pizzato.
I'm Vicky Hodges.
Along with Johannes Eklund. Hey, Johannes, thanks again. We appreciate the tour around the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you being here.
It was my pleasure.